Roll call, please.
Commissioner Youngblood?
Here.
Commissioner Kelly? Commissioner London?
Here.
Commissioner Hogan? Chairman Obranovich?
Here. Okay. So just as a reminder, this is a dual meeting tonight. One, it's online as well as live. So for those who are on their computers, just as a reminder, we will be having public comment throughout the meeting at different appropriate times. So just use the raise your hand feature, and then you will be acknowledged, and then you turn your voice, remember to unmute, and then we'll give you your opportunity to speak. And we will be alternating between people who are in the audience, public comment, and those online. So we'll kind of switch back and forth. Okay, so first off, we've got public comment for items not on tonight's agenda. David.
David Ring, 3486 Delmar. Whenever Tuesday, a week ago, the town council approved an amendment to the general plan. And when they did that, I brought up the fact that, hey, you can only change it 4 times a year. And I was corrected in the fact that you can change each element 4 times a year. And so I wasn't sure if you were aware of that, but I brought it up before the planning commission before, and it was never corrected. And so I thought, since I've been saying wrong things, I would tell you I've been saying wrong things and make sure that bring that to your attention as well, so that you're allowed to amend each element 4 times a year. And I looked it up in the California code, and unbelievably and believably, the attorney was correct. So,
Oh, really? And
yes.
that's kind of, all right.
All right, thank you.
Well, we haven't been challenged with that. Well, let's not abuse that privilege, okay? Thank you, David. Anybody else? Okay. Anybody online? Okay. Thank you. So let's see. Oops, where am I? Okay, so next we will have a motion to adopt tonight's agenda. Before we do that, never mind. That's for adopting tonight's agenda. Any discussion, comments? We have a motion then,
I
please.
move that we adopt the agenda tonight.
I second it.
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Youngblood?
Aye.
Commissioner London?
Yes.
Chairman Obranovich?
Yes. Okay, next is public comment on consent agenda. Consent agenda is the Planning Commission minutes from July 26th, Planning Project Status Report dated August 17th, and then the General Plan Update Status Report July 2022. Any public comment on consent agenda? Okay, any comments from commissioners?
I have a question. For Delmar Farms, it looks like there was a director hearing scheduled 8/19, so I was hoping we might be able to have an update on that. I didn't see it in the planning director report.
No, it's on the planning status sheet. That's a director level approval for a lot line adjustment. So all comments and everything were due as of the 18th, last Thursday. I still got comments in on Friday, so I'm just finalizing their conditions of approval based on agency input. So everything else looks fine with it.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, then we'll have a motion then to approve the consent agenda.
I so move.
I second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner London?
Yes.
Commissioner Youngblood?
Yes.
Chairman Obranovich?
Yes. Okay, thank you. Next, we're going to move into the public hearing. It's item number 4. It's number 2215 Miller, 6-year extension request of application 2002 on Rippey Road in Loomis. So, Mary Beth, we have staff
Certainly.
report.
So as you may recall, it wasn't that long ago, it was a couple of years ago, the project came in front of you for approval. It was approved at that time with a 2-year shelf life. So at this time and prior to its expiration, the applicant submitted a request for an extension, which is very normal these days. Typically, not typically, but our municipal code, our Loomis municipal code allows 5 years unless the state does otherwise. So when you look forward to the state guidelines, they are processing requests for 6 years. So that's why this request is for 6 years and not 5. It will extend their application 6 years from the date of the original approval. So their new expiration date would be June 24th of 2028.
Okay. All right, any questions from planning commissioners? Okay, and this extension, everything stays in place. There'll be no changes, alterations to the project.
Correct. The original project approval with conditions remain in place. There are no changes
Without-
being requested with this, just the extension.
Okay,
We have both the applicant and their engineer. Their engineer is online with us on Zoom. But
Okay.
if you have any questions of them, they're available here for you.
okay, so is that Mr. Miller? You're here. Did you have anything you wanted to add tonight or speak to this at all?
Because of the last couple of years in COVID, it's just been a slow process.
Okay.
We're getting really close.
Okay.
That timeline snuck up on us. We just want to make sure that we're good.
Yeah, no, that's important. Otherwise, you got to start all over again, and that would be a shame. It's awfully easy to renew this, so, good. Okay, thank you. Okay, so any public comment on this topic? Either in-house here or online?
I have one on Zoom.
Okay, go ahead.
Pam Blake, you may unmute.
Hi, Campground, Angelo Drive. I just want to give a yes for the extension for 6 years. This project started at the beginning of the pandemic, so, and like Mary Beth said, it's taking much longer to get, things done, and we can see that, on Taylor Road with our new coffee shop, finally, getting open. So, I'm voting for, yes for the 6-year extension. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you. Anybody else?
No, sir.
Okay, all right, then we'll go ahead and close public comment, bring it back to the planning commission for any discussion and vote. Discussion, comments, questions, we're all good? All right, then we'll have a motion, please.
I move that we extend the application.
I second.
Design?
Oh, sorry.
I was trying to
Fine.
see if I needed to add any wordage.
Go ahead. You good? So
think-
I'll second then.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner London,
Yes.
Commissioner Youngblood,
Yes.
Chairman Abranovich.
Yes. Well, I congratulate you on having one of the easiest planning commission items I think I've ever seen, so.
It's the only easy thing about it.
Yeah, okay, well, that's it. I'll take that. Thank you. Good luck. Okay, hope things get better within the next 6 years. Or see you then, right? Okay, all right, next we're going to move to planning director's report.
Yes, and good evening. I'm back at you just this quick. Just from the planning department, a couple of updates. Our general plan update. The environmental impact report is currently being prepared by AECom. They're contracted with the town to perform that service. At this time, the public review draft EIR will be published in September, October. It's probably more the October than the September. Planning Commission hearings on the draft general plan are anticipated to begin in November.
Is it 4 weeks that it's going to be open for public review?
45 days.
45 days.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And then we have the holiday in there too, and we know once it gets out there, we're not going to do anything till after the first of the year. Let it kind of do its thing, because we won't task everybody with that in December. New council, yeah. So at least we'll have it out there circulating for, I believe it'll get posted, and don't hold me to this, October 31st. So 45 days would put it in the middle of December. We'll leave it open until after that. Unless it does it have a specified comment deadline, 45 days?
Well, I guess so if we extend it, and it seems to me a little open-ended just to let it ride, because, you need to kind of, I think you need to close it
You
at
need
a
to
certain
close
day.
it.
You can
And that's what-
extend the close day beyond 45 days, is that correct? That's
Yeah, but
okay?
from what Andy just said, that the circulation period is 45 days specific, but we're not going to readdress it till after the first of the year.
But the comment period will still close.
We'll still close.
That's my point, right?
Actually, comments can be made till the moment that the project is. Under court decisions, comments can be made up until the decision is made by the town council. So responding to comments, we'll do it for those persons who responded within the 45 days. We'll list the comments that come in after that time, but we don't respond to them in the same way, especially if they've been prior responded in the final environmental impact report. So people can make comments up until the last moment.
Okay, yeah, I think that needs to be kind of clear to the general public, because we get caught in that trap where it gets confusing and then people are not happy
Exactly,
about that. So
exactly.
we don't want that.
That
so.
was a good definitive reply.
Okay.
Miscellaneous projects on Costco. As you know, we've been tied up in 3 different lawsuits against that project. Just within the first month of the approval, the town prevailed on the environmental impact report challenges against the project brought by the City of Rockland and the Citizens for Responsible Growth. And at the end of last year, the judge has now found when the judge found a deficit in the town's interpretation of its own zoning code. The town recently rectified that zoning issue by processing a general plan amendment and zoning amendment. Both Rockland and the Citizens for Responsible Growth have challenged that decision. Motions and arguments were heard on August 4th, with the judge putting the cases on hold until the appeals process described below is finished. Rockland also appealed the court's decision on the EIR. Costco has cross-appealed that decision, as well as the court's decision in the Citizens for Responsible Growth case. In the meantime, we continue to process the project's on-site improvement plans, which were submitted in March of 2022. So at this point, we're just waiting for the judge's determination, and we'll go from there. But it doesn't stop them from submitting plans and getting those approved through the various departments, engineering, and, you know, kind of get the ball set up for rolling once the court issues are resolved.
But the decision was put on hold until Rockland's and Costco's appeal and cross-appeal are decided. Is that what the hold is for? And do we have any timeline on that?
No, that's totally in the judge's hands.
Wow. Is it the same judge?
And where is an endpoint to this, where they can no longer appeal? They appeal to higher courts?
That would be Andreas.
Andreas, you got anything on that?
The end of the appeals will probably be the California Supreme Court if they want to go all that way, but
Yeah,
who knows if that's the desire of the parties.
wow, okay. All righty, thank you.
Thank you, Andreas. Hidden Grove, behind Rayleigh's. We did receive their project resubmittal on June 20th, and the application was deemed complete on August 9th. Staff is currently reviewing the project for consistency and compliance with all applicable plans and standards. The developer has provided the town with an extension deadline, I guess, of September 26th, 2022 for this review. The town is now concurrently working on the EIR and continued project processing. And then we reiterate the 5 public hearings required under SB 330 and point you to the memo on our website that talks about that. So it's following its natural course, and they're doing, they're submitting as required. So that's the important part. The consistency review and all of that with our codes is very lengthy, so. Big project.
When does the clock start for the 5 meeting period? I think it's at 90 days you have to have your 5 meetings. And
Yeah, so that'll be after the EIR is out, distributed, published, posted. That clock ends. We get those comments back, and I believe that would
Then it
start
starts
the
the
processing
clock.
date.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit of time. All right. Thank you.
And just one clarification on that, the 5 meetings, doesn't start to run from after the EIR is completed. It starts to run now that we're processing the project. So there's not a time limit on for when those 5 meetings have to happen. It's the project approval has to come within a certain number of days after the EIR is completed.
Is certified.
Okay. All right.
The Loomis-Rv campground project, when you last reviewed it at your meeting of April 5th, you directed staff to prepare a response to comments and an initial study, mitigated negative declaration, to determine the CEQA requirements associated with the project. The initial study mitigated negative declaration was released on July 1st with a 30-day circulation period. And then we extended that an additional 10 days. So the comment period on the initial study mitigated negative declaration closed on Tuesday, August 9th. This was scheduled for your, as we've been saying all along, next month. So here we are, August. At this point, we've totally removed it from the agenda. When it comes back forward, it will be renoticed, re-public hearing identified and everything. But for right now, the reason why we had to kind of put a halt on it was a need for an executed applicant reimbursement agreement and an issue that arose last Wednesday. I mean, we're trying to finalize the staff reports and everything, and it was related to payment of development impact fees. So we've got to get that bug worked out one way or another. So that's why it was removed from your calendar and will be renoticed going forward. I'm not sure if that'll be September, October. I don't, it just depends on how quickly we can resolve these issues.
Do you know if, I think at one of the meetings, we had a resident raise the issue of the transient occupancy taxes, and I thought I recalled that Roger would be doing some kind of fiscal analysis or economic analysis. Is that the case, or?
I talked to Roger about it, and it just comes down to what our code requires. The code requires any stays of 30 days or less are required to pay that 8% transient occupancy tax, unless we update our code, but there are also state regulations that say you can't charge after 30 days, you can't charge those fees. So we're stuck with anything, not stuck, but our requirements would hold that any stays less than 30 days would pay the transient occupancy tax.
Right.
We will explain that in the staff report when this comes back to you guys. But I don't want to get into too much of a discussion on this tonight since it's not on the agenda.
Right.
Are we able to make requests, though, that I think that would be an important piece for us to consider?
So we're aware that you guys are concerned about the transient occupancy tax piece, so we're looking at that with Roger. It'll definitely be in the staff report.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. And to the point, I had the same thought that we shouldn't go too far into this discussion, other than just let Mary Beth kind of do her thing, and otherwise we'll be might be some questions raised about discussions.
Don't want to have a meeting on something that isn't on the agenda.
Exactly.
So that'll be coming back for you. If there's
Okay.
anything else that you'd like us to consider, now would be the time, but otherwise wait till it comes back. The response to comments was huge, 124 pages. So all very good, on both sides. I mean, it gives great thought and pause, and the responses kind of fill in those gaps.
That's another request I have, though, is could we have those comments forwarded to us, or could they be posted on the website so that we can review them? Because I don't want to be in a situation of where we arrive at our meeting and then we've got a stack of these email comments that I'm not going to have adequate time to review.
Exactly. I will see what I can do on that point for you. Okay. Miscellaneous odds and ends. We're still doing the compost giveaway over at the Public Works Courtyard on Rippey Road, Mandarin Court. Town Manager Tuesdays has moved to a quarterly format. So beginning September 27th from 9 to 10:30 here at the depot. And the disclaimer is dates are subject to change. But that's on the town manager to determine. But he'll probably be here September 27th. We have staff anniversaries. Our Public Works Director, David Strock, 17 years as of August 26th. So he began here in 2005. And Sarah Jennings, our Planning Assistant, just celebrated a 4-year anniversary. So.
Good job. Goes by fast. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. How about the mill site? Any movement on that?
Not that I'm aware.
Yeah,
I know
basically
council
it's-
gave direction to proceed with doing another RFP.
Okay.
My only other question, is there any risk?
Go ahead, Andres.
I just had one more quick open-ended piece, going back to David Ring's comment at the beginning. The 4 updates per element actually also only applies to mandatory elements of the general plan. So non-mandatory elements can be updated as many times as you please. It's only mandatory elements that can only be updated 4 times a year.
Okay.
And since you're probably wondering what the non-mandatory elements of the Lewis general plan are, I would look to Anders for that. I think it's the public facility element are only non-mandatory elements.
Okay.
Sorry, that's all I have.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just trying to do like the timeline of the general plan in Hidden Grove. Is there any risk that they're going to be like coinciding around the same time? Or is that something that staff actually has control? That I know we don't have control over Hidden Grove, that there is, a timeline that's kind of set in place that we have to abide by. But the general plan, if we were looking at having to do them, pretty much either consecutively or fairly close, it's just going to be so much material that we'll have to review and read. I want to make sure that we give it adequate time.
Well, we'll take that into consideration.
Actually, the meeting with the environmental consultants, they're looking at 13 months to prepare the environmental document. That 13 months began on August the 9th, so we're looking at over a year from now when you'll be Hidden Grove will be coming to you.
Oh my. Okay. That's a long time. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mary Beth.
Nice and easy.
Okay, let's see. Got to pay attention here. So do we have any planning commission reports from planning commissioners or anything else? Okay, then,
Oh, Mike is here.
oh, is he? Okay,
He arrived kind of quick.
okay. All right.
He's okay.
I think he would have raised his hand or
Yeah.
something, right?
We voted. You voted.
Okay, so our next meeting is...
Oh, he's got his hand up. Hang on.
Oh, there you go. Okay, Mike. It's not like Mike not to have something to say.
Go ahead, Mike.
I've had trouble getting my audio to work, but I've been observing, so excuse me. I can't get my camera working either. Hard.
But you made it, and that's the important part.
Well, kind of, yeah, kind of. My fault.
Well, appreciate your, efforts, Mike, to be here. So,
Yeah, well, it almost gave me a heart attack as I sat here pushing buttons.
yeah. Okay, all right, well, we're good. I was saying earlier, I think this is one of the easiest meetings on record, so we're good. So, no, that's just Mike. Okay, and our next meeting, it'd be September, let's see, is that 27th? looks
7th.
like. Okay, all right, well, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.